When you approach a river and observe water displaying a vivid crimson hue, an immediate sense of unease settles in, suggesting something is fundamentally wrong with this location. This exact scenario describes the appearance of Spain's Rio Tinto River. Hit the like button if you wouldn't dare take a swim in these waters. What's even more difficult to comprehend is that this waterway once flowed with completely normal-colored water. However, this was an extremely long time ago, nearly 5 millennia in the past. It was precisely during that ancient period that the first mining operations began establishing themselves alongside the river to extract valuable metals. This mountainous Spanish region contained substantial deposits of copper, silver, and gold, making it an exceptionally valuable location for the ancient peoples who inhabited these territories. Over time, metals and acids began infiltrating the water, transforming it into its current bright rust-colored appearance. Consequently, these waters became a preferred habitat for extremophile bacteria that feed on the very metals dissolved in the water. Lake Karachay, Russia. Several years ago, this location was designated not merely as the most dangerous body of water, but as the most hazardous place on planet Earth in general. But why did this situation develop, you might ask? The reality is that spending just 10 to 20 minutes standing near this water body would result in receiving a lethal dose of radiation. This is particularly striking considering that 70 years ago, Lake Karachay was a perfectly pleasant location where one could enjoy swimming. There was only one issue: the lake would occasionally dry up completely. However, in the early 1950s, this site began being utilized for radioactive waste storage. The amount of radioactive material accumulated there exceeded that of the infamous Chernobyl by several times. Eventually, authorities decided to contain this location, which was accomplished relatively recently in 2015. The area was sealed with concrete, yet remaining in the vicinity continues to be mortally dangerous. Boiling Lake. This extraordinary water body is situated on the island nation of Dominica in the Caribbean Sea. The location's name essentially speaks for itself. Water temperatures around the edges of this body reach 90 degrees Celsius. The temperature at the center is so extreme that no one has successfully measured it. I believe it's unnecessary to mention that swimming in this lake would be possible only once in a lifetime, and that would also be the last time. Blue Lagoon in Great Britain. An abandoned quarry site called Harpa Hill in the United Kingdom was once flooded. Due to its brilliant blue water coloration, it became a popular destination for visitors. Locals nicknamed it the Blue Lagoon. Many visitors even used the water body for swimming, despite warning signs about the dangers. The issue is that the Blue Lagoon contains extremely high levels of ammonia. This means swimming there is fraught with serious skin problems. The water body also contains large quantities of waste and debris. Eventually, when local authorities realized that warning signs weren't working, they decided to dye the water black. Since then, this location has become significantly less popular. Jacob's Well, USA. This water body, located in the American state of Texas, is known as one of the most dangerous diving locations on the planet. Jacob's Well has a depth of 40 meters. The well consists of several chambers, and at depth it becomes a true labyrinth composed of numerous caves and hidden passages. The first chamber is located at a depth of 9 meters, with others situated much deeper. This is where the real dangers begin, as even experienced divers face a very high risk of becoming lost. Consequently, oxygen in tanks can be depleted and the diver may not survive. To date, several dozen divers have disappeared here. However, despite this, enormous numbers of divers annually visit this location. Citarum River, Indonesia. The danger of this water body is not connected to secret government programs or mysterious underwater caves. Everything is much more prosaic. The danger of Indonesia's Citarum River lies in garbage. This location is so filled with hazardous waste and harmful chemical substances that it's considered the most polluted river in the world. All this refuse originated from several hundred factories located near the river. It's not difficult to guess that all production waste is dumped directly into this water body. Local residents, apparently recognizing the hopelessness of the situation, also treat the river as a waste disposal site, throwing absolutely everything there. I think it's unnecessary to mention that the water in the river is not only unfit for consumption, but is also deadly dangerous. The Nile River. Despite this Egyptian waterway being famous as the cradle of humanity, it represents one of those places you should avoid when you want to swim. The main reason lies in the crocodiles, which are actually quite numerous there. If you encounter one of them while swimming, you'll have virtually no chance of survival. For example, in the northern part of the Nile, approximately 100 crocodile attacks occur annually. For comparison, shark attacks on humans happen 10 times less frequently. So, if you want to keep your limbs intact, never swim in the Nile because you can always just go to a swimming pool. The Great Blue Hole. Looking at photographs of this water body from a bird's eye view, one cannot help but wonder, what exactly lies inside this blue hole? Let's start with the fact that this formation's depth reaches 124 meters. It's located in the Atlantic Ocean. Several years ago, the Discovery Channel included this Great Blue Hole in their list of the 10 most amazing places on our planet. With its exceptional beauty and uniqueness, it deservedly attracts enormous numbers of divers from around the world. However, one shouldn't forget that only those with extensive experience and special training should dive here. Otherwise, everything could end tragically. There's also quite a significant chance of encountering sharks here, and in that case, it's a matter of luck. It's worth noting that the Great Blue Hole is far from the only such location on the planet, but it is the most famous. As a rule, such phenomena formed as a result of geological processes that occurred thousands of years ago. Potomac River, USA. Not far from the U.S. capital of Washington flows a river called the Potomac. At first glance, it appears to be an ordinary, harmless little river, but in reality, this is not the case. The Potomac River's water creates dangerous underwater currents. In some areas of the river, this is noticeable even on the surface, but often the Potomac appears completely calm. However, at depth, a real elemental force rages at that moment. The river's underwater current can quickly capture swimmers who decide to bathe in the water. So this river should only be observed from the sidelines. Lake Kivu, Africa. This water body is shared by two countries, the Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Although at first glance this water body appears very calm, this only lasts until you learn the following fact. This region possesses heightened volcanic activity. Beneath this lake lie 250 cubic kilometers of carbon dioxide gas and 65 cubic kilometers of methane. Currently, water pressure exceeds gas pressure by a factor of 2. This means that the risk of eruption is minimal and the lake remains a safe place for swimming for now. But this balance of forces could change at any moment, and that would be mortally dangerous. Bubbling Brook, USA. This is what they call a section of the Cuyahoga River that should be avoided. There are several reasons for this. The main one is the quantity of dirty discharge that enters the river. Waste from local production and other garbage was dumped there. Over time, all this began to rot and decompose, leading to the appearance of those very bubbles in the water. This is precisely why the water body was nicknamed the Bubbling River or Sparkling Stream. Additionally, the river became so toxic that fish and other animals cannot live there. Therefore, the place is considered quite unsafe. Eagle's Nest, USA. This is the name of a water body located in Florida. If you want to fish in this location, there's nothing terrible about that. But if you decide to dive, it's better to abandon this idea. The depth of this water body is almost 90 meters. And recently, dozens of tragic incidents have occurred here. Because of this, Eagle's Nest was even closed for an indefinite period to ensure people's safety. Special warning signs around the water body alert about the danger. You don't need good English language skills to understand that diving here isn't worthwhile. The whole issue is that at certain depths, holes begin to form in the water. in which one can easily become trapped. Therefore, the only people who can dive here are very experienced divers. However, even if you have extensive experience, perhaps it's worth choosing safer locations. Kipu Falls, Hawaii. This is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Hawaii. However, at the same time, it's a place where many tourists have drowned. Moreover, the reason for this is not completely understood. Yes, some drowned simply because they couldn't escape from underwater currents. However, among locals there exists a belief that the waterfall was cursed by ancient gods. This is supposedly the real reason for the tragic incidents that occurred. However, the most likely explanation is simply the large volume of tourist traffic. With such a large number of visitors, some of whom decide to swim while intoxicated, a significant number of fatal cases sounds quite logical. So, an important rule for swimming in any water body is not to do this while intoxicated. Hanakapi, South Africa. This area off the coast of South Africa is popularly called Shark Alley. It's not difficult to guess why. On one hand, this brings benefits to residents of the nearest city, as they engage in catching and selling sharks. On the other hand, the number of tragic incidents among those who decided to swim cannot fail to cause concern. Although perhaps human deaths from shark attacks in this region may be caused not only by the large number of sharks, but also by the large number of people on local beaches. The probability of encounters between one and the other greatly increases, leading to sad consequences. Amazon River. Everyone has heard of this water body, but few know how dangerous this place truly is. And there are quite many reasons for this. First, the river waters contain so many predators that one small mistake could result in being eaten alive. Second, directly on the banks live anacondas, boas, and jaguars, which are precisely engaged in waiting for prey that emerges from the water. Most often their victims are capybaras. Additionally, in the Amazon River waters live some rather unpleasant fish, like piranhas and barracudas. They most likely won't eat you, but they can still cause substantial harm to your health. Also, Amazon River waters are home to the terrifying tiny candor of fish. There exists a version that, due to their small size, these fish can swim directly into a person's urinary canal. There is data that refutes this fact, but you probably wouldn't want to conduct this experiment on yourself. Gulf of Mexico coast, USA. Waters near this United States coastline are dangerous for two reasons. The first is abundant runoff, for which a large number of companies engaged in agriculture in this territory are responsible. Besides this water body is home to various marine creatures. Some of them are incredibly venomous, for example, snakes that live in the water. In case you didn't know, some species of snakes can swim. So, if you thought these poisonous creatures could only wait for you on land, you were mistaken. Some of these snakes are not only venomous, but among the most venomous on the planet. Their bite can lead to human death. New Smyrna Beach. In June 2021, sharks attacked 2 people within one day. And this happened not on some distant exotic island, but in Florida, USA. The beach called New Smyrna is known as the world capital of shark attacks on humans. And this isn't surprising. Of course, 2 attacks in one day is quite a lot even for this place. But in principle, shark attacks on New Smyrna Beach happen frequently. At least more frequently than on other beaches. According to statistics, the probability that you'll be attacked by sharks here is 10 times higher than this probability on any other beach in the world. For example, in 2020, near New Smyrna Beach, 244 attacks were recorded. However, this doesn't happen because particularly vicious sharks live in this specific location. The whole issue is that these waters contain many small fish, which serve as food for oceanic predators. And because the location is popular among surfers, their collisions with sharks occur quite frequently. Fortunately, of several hundred attacks per year, only a small portion ends in fatal outcomes for people. Lake Nyos, Cameroon. The origin story of this water body is incredibly interesting. This is what's called a crater lake. It formed as a result of an asteroid impact in ancient times. Since then, the lake remained relatively calm. However, scientists knew it was located in a zone of heightened volcanic activity, meaning a terrible event could happen at any moment. This is exactly what occurred in August 1986. A volcanic eruption caused the release of a toxic cloud from Lake Nyos. As soon as this cloud rose into the air, it became a deadly weapon. Wind carried this cloud away from Lake Nyos, and eventually, when it became heavier than air, it descended onto a densely populated village. The consequences were catastrophic. The poisonous particles contained in the cloud killed nearly 2,000 people, and an even larger number of livestock. Nyiragongo, Africa. This is a lake in which hardly anyone would decide to swim. This is because Nyiragongo, in the African Republic of Congo, is a volcano inside which lies a volcanic lake. However, it consists not of water, but of boiling volcanic lava. Therefore, a swim in this lake would hardly seem refreshing to anyone. Besides the danger of the lava itself, the volcano releases toxic carbon dioxide from its opening. Breathing significant amounts of this substance would almost certainly lead to a fatal outcome. So, in the case of this lake, even approaching it could prove mortally dangerous. Australia is known for its beautiful beaches. However, some of them are deadly dangerous. And the problem isn't only sharks, as you might initially think, but dogs. On Australia's Fraser Island, there's a picturesque beach with clear blue water and yellow sand. However, frequent guests of this location aren't surfers or vacationers, but dingo dogs. These are well-known wild dogs that live on the Australian continent. Near the beach on Fraser Island live up to 30 dingo packs, with each containing from 3 to 12 individuals. And although dingo attacks on humans aren't the norm, such incidents have occurred. So authorities advise vacationers not to make contact with the dogs under any circumstances. Additionally, Fraser Island is located separately from the mainland, and in case of emergency, delivering aid to the island would be very difficult. Besides this, Fraser Island itself has no proper roads, so you'd have to move along complex sandy routes, which can also be quite dangerous without extensive experience. Fraser Island isn't the only dangerous Australian beach. Another dangerous location is a beach called Cape Tribulation. The first thing local authorities warn about when visiting this beach is using a special swimming suit. That is, an ordinary swimsuit or swimming trunks won't suffice. You need a special suit made from dense material that covers the body completely. The reason is that in these places live stingrays with venomous spines. The main danger of these creatures lies in their tails, on which a venomous barb is located. This venom represents a mortal danger to humans. But if a suit can protect you from stingrays, it won't help against the special type of crocodile that lives in these saltwater areas. And even if you manage to exit the water alive and unharmed, near the beach, cassowary birds await you. These creatures with bright coloring represent a real danger, as they can deliver fatal blows with their claws. Cassowaries are considered one of the most dangerous animals to keep in zoos, as there have been many cases when birds inflicted injuries on workers. Hawaii is one of the most popular destinations for beach vacations in the world. However, at Hanakapi Beach, you'll encounter a similar sign. In English, it reads, "Do not approach the water. Due to invisible currents, many people have already died." Tick marks indicate the number of missing people. And the danger of this beach lies in the following. The fact is that in the location where Hanakapi Beach is situated, very strong rip currents are observed. You can encounter similar phenomena not only at this Hawaiian location, but also at other oceanic and sea beaches. These phenomena occur during tides, but in some areas, water begins to move away from shore toward the ocean, and this happens very actively. Inexperienced swimmers immediately start swimming toward shore, But this doesn't help. They're still carried out to sea. In this case, you need to swim not toward shore, but parallel to shore, as the swimmer's task is to exit the rip current. Usually, you need to swim 15 to 20 meters to the side, and then you can begin moving toward shore. Hawaii is also known for its volcanoes. One of them is Kilauea. Near it is located a beach of the same name. And because the volcano is active, the sand on the beach is black, covered with ash. But most importantly, another volcanic eruption could occur at any moment. So it's better to choose some other beach for visiting. Bikini Island. In photographs, the small Bikini Island in the Pacific Ocean appears to be an ideal vacation spot. However, if you know its history, you probably wouldn't want to approach this place. 70 years ago, American military conducted major atomic bomb tests here. The power of the explosions was so enormous that radiation spread over an area of 18,000 square kilometers. It's not difficult to guess that all life was destroyed in this territory. Many years have passed since then, and gradually tourists are beginning to show interest in these places. This isn't surprising since territory that was untouched for decades attracts many curious people. However, all visitors to Bikini Island are strictly prohibited from taking anything from there, and especially from consuming anything as food. New Smyrna Beach. In June 2021, sharks attacked 2 people within one day. And this happened not on some distant exotic island, but in Florida, USA. The beach called New Smyrna Beach is famous as the world capital of shark attacks on humans. And this isn't surprising. Of course, 2 attacks in one day is quite a lot even for this place. But generally, shark attacks on New Smyrna Beach happen frequently. At least more frequently than at other beaches. According to statistics, the probability that you'll be attacked by sharks here is 10 times higher than this probability at any other beach in the world. For example, in 2020, near New Smyrna Beach, 244 attacks were recorded. However, this doesn't happen because particularly vicious sharks live in this specific location. The whole issue is that these waters contain many small fish that serve as food for oceanic predators. And because the location is popular among surfers, their collisions with sharks occur quite frequently. Fortunately, of several hundred attacks per year, only a small portion ends in fatal outcomes for people. Nazar Beach near the town of the same name in Portugal. The main danger here isn't some creature living on land or in water, but the elements themselves. This photograph probably explains a lot to you, due to the unique structure of the ocean floor. In these places, enormous waves form that rush directly toward shore. These waves can reach 30 meters in height. To help you better understand, this is the height of a 10-story building. It's not surprising why this location is a favorite for various extreme surfers. However, even for them, such waves can be mortally dangerous, not to mention less experienced swimmers. Chowpatty Beach, India. Although at most of the listed beaches, the main danger is represented by deadly animals or rip currents. This doesn't apply to Chowpatty Beach in India. The main thing to fear when visiting this place is that it's incredibly polluted. If you don't particularly want to be covered in garbage, it's better to choose another beach for recreation. Because Chowpatty Beach in Mumbai, India, has been repeatedly named the dirtiest beach in the world. And there are several reasons for this. First, Mumbai is a huge metropolis where more than 15 million people live. And such a number of people naturally produces enormous amounts of garbage. Second, the city has a very poor sewage system, causing human waste to end up in waters near the beach. Added to this is a large amount of garbage that currents carry here from the sea. Because of this, the beach sometimes resembles a huge dump. Another example of an incredibly polluted beach that once attracted many tourists and vacationers is Dusun Beach in Vietnam. Several decades ago, This was a very clean place. One of the main reasons is that in recent decades, numerous fishermen engaged in fishing in this location began using plastic bags, not caring much about the environment. They throw them directly into the water. As a result, bags are carried directly to shore. The fact that Vietnam is one of the world's most active plastic producers doesn't help either. Many once clean and beautiful beaches are gradually turning into waste disposal sites. Everyone has heard of the mysterious Bermuda Triangle, and if the danger of this Atlantic Ocean area is considered more of a myth than the Red Triangle, in the Pacific Ocean is an absolutely real danger. The Red Triangle is what they call a section of the Pacific Ocean, not far from the California coast. It's precisely in this location that enormous numbers of great white sharks, or man-eating sharks as they're also called, live. So many beaches near San Francisco are potentially very dangerous for swimming. According to statistics, it's precisely in the Red Triangle that almost half of all fatal shark attacks in the world occur. If you don't know very well what a great white shark represents, let me remind you. This monster reaches 6 meters in length and possesses powerful sharp teeth in large quantities. But most importantly, unlike most other shark species that aren't so dangerous to humans and attack only in rare cases, great white sharks, on the contrary, do this quite frequently. It's not for nothing that the great white shark is the main villain. The Amazon River in South America is definitely not the place to spend your vacation. Not only does the river flow through jungles, where it's incredibly humid and hot, but most importantly, the water teems with various dangerous creatures including anacondas, piranhas, and of course, the kangaroo fish. This fish, reaching 15 centimeters in length, is incredibly narrow. Essentially, it's a parasitic fish. So while swimming in Amazon waters, kangaroo can easily enter inside a person's body. You understand through which openings. Once inside, it can feed on blood and tissues. Dumas Beach is located in India on the Arabian Sea coast. Famous not because it's very dirty. Dumas is considered cursed. This is because this place was once used for cremating the deceased. Since then, naturally, numerous beliefs arose that the beach is a bewitched, cursed place. Confirmation of this came from several mysterious cases of people disappearing in this location. And even if you don't really believe in paranormal phenomena, the danger of king cobras that occasionally appear on this beach is quite real. So, if you're still thinking about where to go for summer vacation, Dumas isn't the best choice. It would seem that today humanity has explored every corner of planet Earth. For hundreds of years, travelers have studied the most inaccessible points on the map. But in the Indian Ocean, there's a small island that's avoided not only by tourists, but even by military personnel. What's hidden on this small piece of land? Why do scientists, military, and tourists fear this small island in the Indian Ocean? We'll tell you about this in this video. In the northern part of the Indian Ocean, several hundred meters from where the ship became stuck, there's a small island. The ship cannot free itself and remains trapped on the reef. However, the waves are so strong that the captain decides not to lower lifeboats into the water to reach the unfamiliar island. This decision saved the sailors' lives. Several days later, one of the sailors reported to the captain that he spotted a group of people on the island who emerged from the jungle. At first, the sailors thought these might be rescuers sent for the ship. However, looking closer, they saw several dozen half-naked people shooting arrows at the ship from bows. It was precisely the strong waves that prevented the Aborigines from reaching the ship, located a few hundred meters from the island, and their arrows were blown away by wind. Eventually, rescuers from India managed to arrive by helicopter and save the crew members. The ship Primrose still remains, almost 40 years later, in the same location. several hundred meters from the island. Thanks to this rescue operation, in the early 80s, the mysterious people made newspaper headlines, and large numbers of people in different parts of the globe first heard about the phenomenon of North Sentinel Island. Who are these mysterious warlike people living on the island? And why do even Indian military forces avoid this island, although it officially belongs to India? So, North Sentinel Island is almost completely covered by tropical forest, except for the shore. The jungle is home to several dozen or hundreds of local aborigines. No one knows the exact number. Over the past couple of centuries, several unsuccessful attempts have been made to send expeditions to Sentinel Island to study the culture and lifestyle of the local population. But all these attempts haven't met with great success. In the best case, expedition participants managed to escape. In the worst case, they were killed by aborigines, who for several hundred years have greeted strangers with bows and arrows. The last tragic incident occurred a couple of years ago. American missionary John Allen Chow illegally reached the island. Despite the existing ban by Indian authorities, the young man hoped to establish contact with the local population and convert them to Christianity. As a result, John was killed by local residents. Researchers' knowledge about the population of Sentinel Island is limited. There isn't even accurate data about how many people are on the island. According to one source, currently 15 to 20 aborigines live in the jungle. According to other data, this number approaches 400. North Sentinel Island is part of the Andaman Archipelago in the Bay of Bengal. The Sentinelese are undoubtedly related to populations of other islands in the archipelago. However, on other islands, aborigines have long contacted civilization and are well studied by anthropologists. The Sentinelese, however, have been isolated for so long that even aborigines from nearby islands don't understand the Sentinelese language. Scientists have only managed to establish contact with residents of the mysterious island a few times. Thanks to this, we know at least something about the local inhabitants. The Sentinelese live in leaf huts, near which fires are always lit and continuously maintained. The aborigines make canoes to catch fish and collect crabs. They also hunt wild pigs and gather fruits. Their main tools are bows with arrows and knives, which are most likely made from iron that washes ashore with currents, and the Sentinelese have learned to use it for their needs. Why do they treat all strangers with hostility? One version blames an incident that occurred in 1880. At that time, the island was under British control. A group of military personnel and scientists landed on the island. However, local residents managed to notice the approaching guests. As a result, the British found only abandoned houses and several people, among whom were elderly and children. The main population hid deep in the jungle. The British took the found aborigines with them for study. The elderly quickly died because they had no immunity to European diseases. It was decided to return the children to the island. Probably this incident and several other unsuccessful encounters with strangers became the reason for the Sentinelese warlike attitude toward arrivals from outside. After India gained independence from Britain in the mid-20th century, North Sentinel Island became Indian territory. Anthropologists repeatedly tried to establish contact with locals, leaving various gifts on shore as well as notes. However, no response came, and guests were traditionally met with bows and arrows. Only a couple of expeditions managed to get close to local residents and observe them. However, communication ended at the stage of gift exchange. Although the Sentinelese were obviously most pleased with copper pots. Today, Indian authorities prohibit approaching the island and attempting to contact the local population, primarily to protect the aborigines. Obviously, they haven't encountered the enormous number of diseases and viruses of the civilized world, and therefore have no immunity to them. As a result, This could lead to the death of the entire island population. Anthropologist scientist named Pundit, who studied the people of North Sentinel Island for decades, calls for leaving the local population alone, since they've made it clear they don't want to communicate with the outside world and manage on their own. Periodically, Indian authorities fly around the island by helicopter to verify that someone still lives there. There's a high probability that we'll never learn the true reason why the Sentinelese are so hostile to the surrounding world. Tropical thickets occupying almost half of all South American territory. Travelers and scientists have tried to explore the Amazon forests for hundreds of years. Many expeditions disappeared without a trace, and the circumstances of their disappearance are shrouded in mystery. Those who emerged were able to tell about strange creatures, lost settlements, and wild tribes inhabiting this territory. Some researchers are certain that precisely there, in the Amazon forests, a highly developed civilization once existed. Perhaps it was connected to Atlantis. The Amazon forests are truly enormous. They're located across 9 countries, and the number of trees there is so vast that they produce 20% of all oxygen on planet Earth. These impenetrable thickets are an ideal place to hide from modern civilization. Besides deadly, dangerous animals, the Amazon forests are inhabited by several hundred different tribes. Most of them have contact with the outside world. However, according to researchers, approximately 50 tribes live in the thickets that have never encountered modern civilization. Scientists and travelers have studied the mysterious forests for hundreds of years. As a result, more than 80 ancient fortifications were discovered that were once settlements. According to archaeologists, these structures are about 1,500 years old. This means that long before Europeans arrived, millions of people inhabited these territories. Incidentally, it's precisely thanks to Europeans that the Amazon forests got their name. In the 16th century, Spanish traveler Francisco de Orellana returned from an expedition to South American shores. During a forest journey, he was attacked by women from one of the tribes. They reminded the traveler of legendary Amazon warriors from Greek mythology. Therefore, Francisco named these forests Amazonian. In subsequent centuries, researchers from around the world continued traveling to the Amazon forests to find lost cities and treasures. Ancient manuscripts and documents existed stating that precisely in these places lay ancient abandoned cities, possibly even Atlantis or its colonies. One such document is Manuscript 512, stored in the National Library of Rio de Janeiro. The manuscript belongs to participants of an expedition from the mid-18th century. It claims that researchers managed to discover a large abandoned city, with signs of an ancient, highly developed civilization. It also contains indication of finding gold and silver deposits. Manuscript 512 was discovered and gained fame almost 100 years after its creation. Since then, researchers and enthusiastic adventurers have organized expeditions to search for the lost city. One of the most famous stories is connected with the mysterious disappearance of Percy Fawcett, a British military officer and traveler. Fawcett was a friend of Arthur Conan Doyle, author of Sherlock Holmes stories. The traveler was convinced of the existence of a lost city in the Amazon forest region. His idea was based on 2 facts: Manuscript 512 and a mysterious black statuette 25 centimeters high. This object was brought by Fawcett's friend from his trip to Brazil. Experts from the British Museum couldn't determine the statuette's origin. Fawcett believed in a continent that once existed, stretching from African shores to South America. A natural catastrophe struck the continent and it disappeared. This was Atlantis. In 1925, Percy Fawcett assembled an expedition with his son and set off into the impenetrable Amazon forest searching for the lost city Z, as he called it. In Fawcett's opinion, this was the city mentioned in Manuscript 512 and related to the vanished Atlantis civilization. Before departure, Fawcett left a mysterious note stating that if they didn't return, No rescue expedition should be sent to find them, otherwise its participants would face the same fate as his team. Fawcett's group consisted of several people: his friend, his son, and 2 Brazilian guides. On May 29, 1925, Fawcett sent a letter to his wife from the last populated settlement before venturing into the unexplored part of the Amazon forests. No one heard from him again. Attempts to determine the exact cause of Percy Fawcett's disappearance continue to this day. Researchers have several theories. The most widespread suggests that Percy Fawcett and his expedition members were killed by one of the tribes living in the Amazon forests. There's an opinion that Fawcett actually managed to find the lost city Z and establish his own community there. This is supported by Fawcett's notes to friends and colleagues, from which it becomes clear that the traveler initially didn't intend to return home. There's also a high probability that the traveler's death was caused by wild nature. The fact is that the Amazon forests are truly one of the most dangerous places on our planet. Most of you have probably heard of the Amazon River. This is the world's longest river, and it's precisely the one that crosses the forest of the same name. But besides this, in the thickets there's a water body where water literally boils. As they call it, the boiling river. The water temperature there ranges from 40 to 93 degrees Celsius. The thick steam emanating from the water suggests that you should never even approach this water body. Most interestingly, scientists still haven't reached a consensus explaining this natural anomaly. The boiling river is far from the only danger lurking in the Amazon forests. Hundreds of venomous animals and insects live in the thickets and water bodies. Giant anaconda. This monster didn't get its name for nothing. During the 20th century, several researchers and naturalists reported seeing anacondas in the Amazon forests, whose length exceeded 10 and even 15 meters. Some scientists doubt the reliability of such reports, but no one disputes that giant anacondas can easily reach 6 to 7 meters in length, which, you'll agree, makes these monsters real killing machines. Usually anacondas motionlessly wait for their prey, lying in one place, and when it approaches, they grab it with a lightning-fast throw and strangle it. An anaconda's mouth stretches to incredible dimensions. For example, it can completely swallow a jaguar, a capybara, and a human. Such terrible cases are incredibly rare, but still. Usually anacondas don't bother humans. However, this can happen if the animal feels threatened. The giant anaconda isn't the only creature that instills fear in travelers and indigenous inhabitants of the Amazon forests. As I mentioned earlier, several hundred tribes live in the thickets. Many of them have legends about a mythical creature. Its body is completely covered with hair. The monster's height is several meters, and its name is Mapinguari. This creature possesses incredible strength. Most interestingly, researchers were told about this creature in completely different tribes that never interacted with each other. Therefore, this cannot be a fabricated legend. Several expeditions aimed to find Mapinguari. However, all attempts were unsuccessful. Scientists are inclined toward the theory that Mapinguari could have actually existed, but most likely they became extinct several thousand years ago and today continue to live only in legend form. However, scientists cannot completely deny the creature's existence today. Besides mythical creatures, the Amazon forests can surprise with quite real phenomena that are well studied by scientists. When it comes to walking trees, most people remember Lord of the Rings. But unlike the world-famous fantasy, the Amazon forests have absolutely real walking trees. In this case, walking palms. They can move from place to place. True, they do this incredibly slowly. Walking palms put down new roots in the direction of sunlight, thus replacing old roots and gradually moving. Look at these frogs. You'll agree they're incredibly beautiful with amazing bright colors. But what if I told you that this frog can kill you, and not just you, but 10 more adult humans? Their name is poison dart frogs. Despite their miniature size, they're among the most venomous animals on the planet. Their skin is permeated with glands secreting microscopic doses of poison, which is quite enough to kill more than a dozen people. And this is far from all the amazing phenomena found in the Amazon forests. According to scientists' estimates, only 1% of all plants located in this territory has been studied so far. The fate of this enormous forest literally depends on life on our planet, without exaggeration. Thanks to photosynthesis, the Amazon forests absorb almost a third of all carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere. And conversely, they produce almost 20% of the planet's oxygen. However, due to global warming and deforestation, this unique place may face extinction within 50 years. Each of us, regardless of where we live, can contribute to preserving the Amazon forests by simply using less paper in daily life. It's precisely for paper production that a significant part of the forest is cut down. The fate of the Amazon forests and the entire planet is in each of our hands. As a sage once said, a journey of 1,000 kilometers begins with the first step. What actually happens in the Bermuda Triangle? Why haven't scientists given a definitive answer to this question for many years? Right now we'll examine the main theories that can explain the strange phenomena occurring in this area. And ultimately we'll try to determine which version is truthful. So, what exactly is the Bermuda Triangle? This mysterious region is located in the Atlantic Ocean between Miami, the Bermuda Islands, and Puerto Rico. For decades, numerous unexplained events have occurred in this location. Primarily, the disappearance of ships and aircraft. And although the term Bermuda Triangle was first introduced only 60 years ago, reports of strange events in this area date back to Christopher Columbus's time. So, what caused these mystical phenomena? Let's examine the main theories. Theory number 1: extraterrestrial interference. Some people believe that mysterious events in the Bermuda Triangle result from extraterrestrial intervention or otherworldly activity. Supporters of this theory claim that the high concentration of strange incidents in the region could result from aliens abducting ships and aircraft or making them disappear using unknown technologies. Some even suggest that the Bermuda Triangle may contain a hidden underwater base, where aliens conduct experiments or monitor human activity. This theory can also include ghost ships. According to legends, mystical forces in the form of ghosts from long-sunken ships may be responsible for strange incidents. Theory number 2: Atlantis and mysterious energy. This idea suggests that the lost city of Atlantis may be located within the Bermuda Triangle, and that it radiates powerful energy affecting ships, aircraft, and other equipment passing through this area. The concept of the lost city of Atlantis dates back to ancient times and has been a source of intrigue and speculation for centuries. Some people believe that the city's advanced technologies, based on powerful energy sources, still function in the ocean depths, causing strange phenomena in the Bermuda Triangle. Others claim that this area is home to mysterious energy vortexes that can disable electronic equipment and navigation systems. This theory can also include the existence of interdimensional portals or wormholes within the Bermuda Triangle. These hypothetical portals could transport ships and aircraft to another dimension or another location on Earth. Theory number 3: piracy and other illegal activities. According to this theory, disappearances in this area result from criminal activity such as aircraft hijacking, contraband smuggling, or other illegal actions. Historically, Bermuda Triangle waters were known as pirate havens, especially during the golden age of piracy in the late 17th and early 18th centuries, when these waters teemed with treasure hunters. Today, contraband smuggling and other illegal activities remain common in the region, and it's quite possible that some disappearances may be connected precisely to this. Theory number 4: magnetic anomalies. One theory attempting to explain the Bermuda Triangle mystery is based on compass deviations, particularly the discrepancy between magnetic north and true north. The Bermuda Triangle is one of only 2 places on Earth, the other being the Devil's Sea off Japan's coast, where magnetic north and true north align. This phenomenon, known as agonic lines, can lead to navigation confusion and ultimately accidents. However, in our time, given GPS technology existence, this should no longer be a significant factor. Theory number 5, methane hydrates. Methane hydrates are ice-like deposits of gaseous methane and water that can be found on continental shelves worldwide, including the Bermuda Triangle. Under certain conditions, these deposits can destabilize and release enormous amounts of gaseous methane. Large gas releases could potentially reduce water density, causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink. Additionally, these gas releases could lead to explosive mixture formation in the atmosphere, posing dangers to aircraft. However, to date, there's no direct evidence linking methane hydrate releases to any incident in the Bermuda Triangle. Theory number 6, rogue waves. This frightening term describes massive, unexpected ocean waves that can reach heights exceeding 30 meters. Rogue waves are caused by various factors, including smaller wave mergers, ocean currents, and storms. Such waves could potentially cause catastrophic damage to vessels and have been proposed as causes of some disappearances within the Bermuda Triangle. However, rogue waves aren't unique to this region, and their role in disappearances is questioned. Theory number 7, extreme weather. The Bermuda Triangle is located in an area known for frequent tropical storms and hurricanes. These powerful storms can create dangerous conditions, including strong winds, massive waves, and lightning. Extreme weather phenomena can contribute to ship sinking and aircraft crashes, especially if crews are unprepared or caught off guard. While weather may have played a role in some incidents, it's unlikely to explain all mysteries surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. Theory number 8, human error and technology limitations. It's important to consider human error's role in these disappearances. Pilots and captains may misread instruments, make miscalculations, or experience fatigue, leading to navigation errors. Additionally, technology can malfunction or provide inaccurate data, exacerbating confusion. With increased traffic intensity in this area, the probability of accidents due to human error and technological failures has increased. Theory number 9, electronic fog. This term describes grayish clouds that stick to aircraft or ships and can cause navigation equipment malfunctions. This theory gained popularity after pilot Bruce Jernon claimed he experienced this phenomenon during a flight over the Bermuda Triangle in 1970. Theory number 10, government experiments. Supporters of this theory claim that the U.S. government or possibly other world powers chose the Bermuda Triangle as a testing ground for advanced technologies or weapons. They point to the large number of military and civilian vessels that disappeared in the region, as well as various mysterious incidents that occurred there. One element of this theory suggests possible use of electromagnetic weapons, such as the Philadelphia experiment. The story states that during World War II, the U.S. Navy allegedly attempted to make a ship invisible using electromagnetic fields. Although this project was largely dismissed as myth, some still believe that electromagnetic technology research continued, and the Bermuda Triangle served as a testing ground. Theoretically, this could lead to navigation and communication system failures in ships in this area or even complete shutdowns. Another aspect of this theory is possible testing of advanced propulsion systems or other experimental technologies. Some suggest that these experiments might have involved secret underwater installations. They claim these tests could inadvertently lead to catastrophic failures of surface ships or aircraft, ultimately resulting in their disappearance. Skeptics of this theory rightfully say there's no reliable evidence supporting these claims. Moreover, scientists have already identified the most likely causes. We'll discuss them right now. Now that we've studied the main theories explaining the Bermuda Triangle mystery, it's time to answer the question: which theory is most probable from scientists and logic's perspective? Today, two theories are considered most credible: natural phenomena and human error or equipment failure. The main advantage of these theories is the presence of evidence. Many scientists and researchers agree that a combination of natural phenomena such as extreme weather conditions, underwater earthquakes, and methane hydrates, combined with human error and equipment failure, could have caused most strange incidents in the Bermuda Triangle. Moreover, the fact that this area is one of the world's busiest shipping routes increases accident probability, and explains why incidents in this region may statistically occur more frequently than elsewhere. Regarding most mystical and supernatural theories, there's practically no concrete evidence supporting them. Although they allow for fascinating speculation and captivating storytelling, they lack the scientific foundation necessary to be considered credible explanations for the Bermuda Triangle mystery. While the Bermuda Triangle remains a fascinating and mysterious region, the most plausible explanations for strange phenomena in this area lie in science and human nature. Neither humans nor the technologies we've created are, unfortunately, perfect and can occasionally malfunction. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you and see you in the next videos. Take care.